Shall we start?
Yeah, yes, we can.
Great. So, hello everyone. I, Alka Rana from Fable Inc. welcome you all in today's session. Today, we are here to discuss on post-COVID startup ecosystem. Startups can be important engines for growth in both developed and emerging markets, facilitating increased productivity and employment generation. Through innovation and scalable technology, startups can play a critical role in socio-economic development and labor market transformation. The Indian startup ecosystem has evolved dynamically over the last 5 years. With 17 unicorns in the first 7 months of 21, over 50,000 recognized startups in 21 according to DPIIT, creating over 5,49,842 jobs. Startups are certain to play a critical role in India's post-COVID recovery, as well as in their journey towards the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So, to discuss more and to get a deep insight of the topic, we have Mr. Abhishek and Mr. Pankaj Chawla among us. Mr. Pankaj Chawla, founder and CEO of MSME Strategy Consultants, he has one mission in his mind to make MSMEs of today the MNCs of tomorrow. Ex Barclays, ex Airtel, ex Virgin Mobile, and a CA by profession with 20 plus years of experience in senior management partnering. He also has his bent of mind towards the legal and regulatory framework of country. His forte is to provide mentorship to startup owners and give their dream ship a propeller to sail through. Passion includes artificial intelligence, machine learning, and robotics. Whereas Mr. Abhishek is the founder and CEO of Accelerise Networks Private Limited, an engineer by profession, has more than 12 plus years of experience in leadership roles, managing diverse businesses, responsible for giving strategic insight, scaling up operations, and building distributed executive capabilities. Abhishek loves innovation and making ideas a reality and is passionate about solving big problems, creating a positive impact on the world through the development of new technology. So let's begin with seniority wise. So over to you, Mr. Pankaj. What's your thought on this?
So, thank you, first of all, Alka, for inviting me into this session. On the thoughts around the startup ecosystem, primarily post-COVID, I think we should look at it in two different fashions. One is the first wave of COVID, when it was all new for all of us, including governments and all of that. And second is the second wave of COVID, which is just coming in 2021. The two definitely have given two different perspectives and challenges to the economy. First wave was more driven by panic. Probably, everyone was reacting than responding because the time was such. There was no information on what is it that you could do and all of that. So which led to a lot of are way ahead of the market today, be it any level of organization that they operate currently or at that point in time. People who could not respond to it that very well, they had a struggling period. With the first wave settling down and before the start of the second wave, essentially The challenges were different. People were growing. Technology was being exploited differently. Now the thing was how could we accelerate from there. But then came the second wave, which was more reaction of how people behave after the first wave was over and before the second wave came in. Wherein, you know, everyone was going out, every economy, specifically the tourism was really on boom because everyone was out, and hence came the second wave. But and before I kind of comment on how did this work for entrepreneurs, I recollect a very important line in the one of it said, the recessions are important for economies because when the recession come in, the businesses move from weaker hands to stronger hands, and stronger hands in the context of the COVID is the stronger hands which were adapted to the change. So, which really gave an opportunity and a positive outlook for people to really look at the business very differently and embrace the technology as much as possible. Uh, People in edtech, people in health tech, or the traditional education and traditional healthcare industries would move to become edtech and health tech have gained a lot of traction, a lot of business in the market, and a lot of positive outlook. Uh, People in the hospitality industry have looked at making something like a work from home could be a work from hills as an example, and there are a lot of individual spaces, penthouses, individual cottages, etc., which have been made over the hills for people to work from there with the amazing Wi-Fi facility and all of that. So with the pandemic hitting hospitality the most, there are people who adapted differently to the change and made some business out of it. Uh, Recognizing that there is a real need in the minds of people. Like when you work from home for almost a year, you definitely want to go out, but you cannot go out because everyone, if everyone is out there, then the pandemic would bring in more waves. So the secluded places work really well. So these are kind of few examples of organizations that we have worked with, and you know, let them think differently, and people have otherwise also thought differently and delivered innovative solutions. So in my mind, the outlook is really positive if you look at opportunities out there, but every opportunity will have challenges, every challenge will have opportunities. So two sides of the coin, how you look at it, I look at it optimistically.
Very great. So, what's your call on this, Mr. Abhishek? Like, we also would like to know about your thoughts as you run an ecosystem and you deal with the startups business from the very scratch.
Right, as Pankaj rightly said, like pandemic came with a lot of opportunities, and the first positive which I saw actually post pandemic is that distances has decreased a lot. So if you wanted to meet somebody in Mumbai, so you have to travel all together from Delhi, and you have to waste a lot of time of yours. critical role in any startup journey. So pandemic has actually removed that kind of challenge for the startup where they need to spend a lot of money on their, kind of office or having a property or something like it. Everybody is working from home, and as far as I know, the founders, everybody is really happy that they are saving money. They are not traveling, because client is coming to them. So there is a lot of things are happening actually in the ecosystem, which is actually positive. And when we talk about challenges, ecosystem always known for how to solve the problem. We are always at the solution side. So whatever challenges we have faced, in past 2 years, I believe we have faced it very well, and the founders did a very good job, in terms of facing the COVID and what solutions we can provide. And at the same time, government has also done a tremendous job. Initially, everybody was confused in first place that what will happen and how we will overcome from this dilemma. But if you will see, even if we say that third wave will come, nobody cares, right? So let it come. We are ready to face. We have adopted that system that we can work from home. We can earn a living from home itself without going anywhere. So this is a beauty actually which we have, I would say, adopted itself in last 2 years. Yeah,
Hello?
hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you were disconnected for some time.
Okay, okay. So where you left me?
Okay. So we heard that you were very happy and you were ready to face the third wave.
Right. So, I'm not, I won't say that I'm happy, but it's just that like people are very much prepared to, face the third wave as well, because they have cracked that dilemma of pandemic, to be very frank. Everybody knows like how to work from home. Everybody knows how to cater the client from home. We need not to travel, and everybody knows that how to overcome like with the challenges of pandemic itself. So this is basically the beauty which is being created by us obviously, and it being a biggest country in terms of population, we have faced it tremendously.
Great. So there are few questions and few concerns regarding these ecosystems and their development and their sustenance over this crisis time. So I would like to ask, like, what changes you have done individually in your ecosystem or your for your growth or for your clients' growth. So what changes you have done to sustain in this crisis? So to begin with, Mr. Chawla.
Okay, I think the biggest learning in one simple word of the COVID has been discipline. Right? If you are disciplined, then you can control COVID as well. Right? Discipline in terms of COVID has been the social distancing, the mask, and the sanitization, and all of that. Similarly, important for the businesses which has been advised to the clients is how do they bring discipline in business in terms of their business strategy, in terms of being focused on what they want to do, in terms of being disciplined on where they want to spend cash, what are core areas, what are non-core areas of the business, how could they work on core areas and accelerate them, how could they look at non-core and then maybe take a break from that for some time because that non-core area may not be bringing them as much revenue or profit in the time to come. Things like negotiation with vendors and customers on flexi payments or the advancing payments from the customers, offering upfront discounts, and then adjusting and delaying payment with the vendors, offering them maybe some premium so that it brings in better cash flows. Are few things which have really helped organizations, because you might be profitable, but for you leads to better working capital management for you, maybe proactive in business strategies and decisioning. Going digital is a no-brainer. So I guess that has happened for a lot of organizations who are working in a traditional manner. Probably I would say with the pandemic coming over, the technology advancement and adaptation, the economy has been sped up by maybe 2 to 3 times what we would have done over 5 years has happened in maybe less than a year, right? So 3 to 5 times technological advancement has happened. So these are the few things that you have helped our clients work on, deliver strategies, and then important device KPIs and monitor them to fine tune the workings or tactics or strategies as we move in the business ahead. This are the things which happen.
So what's your take, Mr. Abhishek, on this? What changes you have done in your organization or your ecosystem?
We have not made any major changes to the rules that we do. So we follow the strategy like for working from home because obviously we cannot travel, and the best part is we realized that as far as part of the statistical system, we were already there, where we have statistics in mind where we can save our time, save money, because we also uh, discuss these things with few of the startups where we help them and how they can actually work efficiently, in less amount of money, because in a startup ecosystem there is no big bunch of, or I would say working capital. So every startup has that kind of mentality that they need to save money on lot of notes. They need to save money for in terms of their staff, in terms of their marketing budget, in terms of their operational things and all. So like what we have done, we have told people not to, do not fire their staff, because whenever a startup starts hiring, the whole staff is going to be from their first 10 to 20 people. So if you have hired somebody and they are very very to your startup, we told them not to fire anybody. You can put a cut on their salary. Maybe if you're saying 50% or 30%, that is fine, but do not fire, because this is basically the backbone of any startup. So this is the few advices we have given to some startups, because once a startup starts firing, it is very difficult actually to again build that team of 4 people. You know, so even if a youngster, or maybe say a fresher is joining their startup, they join with an enthusiasm that they are a very important part of the company or something like this. So this is the advice we have given, and a lot of founders have listened to us. They did not fire their staff, and now they are not facing any kind of problem in terms of hiring new people or expansion or basically going to the new markets. So that is basically, and whosoever is listening out there, I will also tell them that hiring somebody is not actually the solution. Being the CEO or being the founder of the startup, you need to figure out that how you can take care of your people, and so every problem can be faced if the people are there with you.
Hello?
Abhishek, I think we have lost you in between. Okay, again there is a problem.
Yeah,
I think there is some technical issue.
I know.
Okay.
So,
So I was just saying that, yeah,
yeah, say,
yeah,
come
say.
on. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was just saying that, like, if there are founders those who are listening,
Great, good to know that. So, I want to know, like, as you both deal with the investors and you prepare them to face the investors, to approach investors. So, can you please let us know, yeah, tell us that which startups are more affected because of pandemic? VC funded startups or early stage funding startups? So, to begin with, Mr. Abhishek.
Okay, okay, okay. So, Alka, as far as VC funded startups, are concerned, everybody got affected, but pandemic actually affected a lot to early stage startups. Because they were not prepared, they were not that much cash healthy, to be very frank with you. And for any business, if you are, if you are out of operation for at least, even if for 2 months, it makes a huge difference. So as far as the startup ecosystem is concerned, I know a lot of businesses, those who have suffered a lot, and we are actually in touch with a lot of startups, those who are into brick and mortar model. They are into retail and brick and mortar. So brick and mortar is basically the biggest sector which is being affected because shops were closed. They can't do anything out there. And so we suggested them to rapidly come into a digital platform, maybe with a e-commerce website or something like it. So these guys have done it, and because everybody was at home and everybody was actually on internet, because we spent a lot of good time with family, right? But a lot of time we spent on internet as well, watching YouTube, watching different kind of stuff on internet. So a lot of startups took the advantage of that pause to have the digital presence as well, right? Which was because the digital presence was always neglected sometimes with certain models like brick and mortar. So if some founders is earning good money from from retail model or franchise model, they never focus on their digital presence. But this pandemic made them understand that why you should have and why digital presence or your virtual address is important. So operationally, they have came up to on a digital platform, and they understood the strategy that how their brand can reach to any geography with the help of digital presence. So that is the importance they understood.
So, what's your take on this, Mr. Chawla? According to
Yes.
you,
So
yeah.
yeah, this is my experience with MSMEs, including startups and maybe small to medium companies as well. I think organizations who have failed to embrace the change have failed to sustain the business, irrespective of who is funded them, whether it's early stage or the VC funded. Important has been whether you have changed with the changing environment or not. Absolutely appreciating the fact that this time the pace of change was faster than any other change because it came to us initially as a surprise and then we took time to adapt to it. But then people who did not adapt to it or who did not reacted to the change of pace faster than for what they and how they have been doing earlier, they have really struggled with time. Uh, I think two important things from a change perspective have played a big role. Uh, One, with the change happening around, how did you see your customers well who are actually paying you? So did you think about impact of your business on customers and made your backward strategy to ensure customers get the same or a better experience? And then linked to that is the back-end machinery of it, how the processes in the organization struggled or failed to an extent.
So, as like all these changes, and it's regarding like a country's sustenance. So, our Ministry of MSME has made a new decision under the leadership of our honorable PM that wholesale and the retail business will also be get benefited from the MSMEs schemes like easier finance and etc. So, how much this decision will help post COVID recovery of our country?
Okay, you want me to go first?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so the decision of inclusion of wholesale and retail was more around wholesale and retail traders. Manufacturing and services was already part of MSME definition. Uh, Now it is a very good move with the intent with which it is launched to ensure that the benefit of MSME gets passed on to a wider population. Because with e-commerce gaining a lot of traction in the economy already, there are traders out there as well, and there are traders beyond e-commerce as well who are probably running as part of mom and pop shop or maybe other stores as a franchise and all of those sorts. So traders are part of an important and integral part of the economy. So absolutely a great move. However, it is double-edged in the sense that the amount and quantum of benefit which was probably identified, computed at the time of launch of COVID reliefs for manufacturing and service sector gets now shared with traders as well. So the amount of benefit which was to go to X number of entities falling in manufacturing and services will now go into X plus Y, which is wholesalers and retailers as traders. Because the quantum of the benefit due to COVID hasn't increased. It is extra people have been included. So right intent, but had the quantum been increased, the benefit would have spread more. And there is then the other side of it, which is when you talk about manufacturing primarily, where the profit margins are less because there is a lot of capital investment in the business, then you need a lot of money already in the business as a capital or as a maybe a capex investment, which is a capital investment or a working capital, which is day-to-day movement of and rotation of money to run your business. The manufacturing industries are heavy on both. When you're heavy on both and you approach the bank taking, shield or taking advantage of the MSME schemes, then the bank would look at what is your profitability percentage and capacity to repay. Now for a manufacturing company, if the let's say profitability percentage is X, and for traders or for servicemen the profitability is maybe 1.5x, 2x, 3x, 4x, whatever that number is, then by the nature of any organization with a profit-making organization, and that's applicable to a bank as well, they would more be tilted towards traders and service industries. So manufacturing industry, which is in more need currently, then could potentially be deprived of because there is an opportunity lying for a banker to offer it to someone else. There probably capital intensity is less, so they can either repay faster or they can offer better rate of interest because their margins are better. But the real people who are impacted may not get that much of benefit. So these are probably two sides of the coin. And how do the banks actually balance this, or how the guidelines or rules, if any, are expected, if at all, from MSME ministry can help balance this would be a real game changer for manufacturing industries. That is the way I see.
And what about you, Mr. Vishek? What's your call on this?
Yeah, so as far as MSMEs and small businesses are concerned, my knowledge is that not that too much as public, but I would say like there are a lot of schemes which has been given by the government, but due to lack of, this is my personally, I don't know like, but Pankaj would be having a clear idea. A lot of people don't even have idea that there is a scheme for them. They can take advantage of that. Like Mudra Yojana, and there is one another credit guarantee fund from the government. Then there is another credit free subsidy capital. So these are the schemes where obviously MSMEs are the very important part of Indian economy and GDP as well. And they play a very important role, and that is why government has to take these kind of initiatives for them. But it's just that there is a huge gap of communication. You know, so that is why I think a lot of MSMEs owners and all these people are suffering right now. And to be very frank with you, that is why I always consider uh, consultants and mentors and people those who know the industry really well. Because if I am a MSME owner, I don't have any idea that what kind of advantages I can have with these schemes. So probably I will go to somebody like Pankaj who knows these kind of schemes, who knows that when, which fund and which scheme we can apply for and how we can take advantage of that. You know, this is the whole scenario. So this thing everybody needs to understand that every sector, the startups also have kind of a budget allocated for funding. So in UP also we have two great schemes where they have given certain funds for the startup as a seed fund. But I don't think so any of the funders knows about it. It's just that like a few very limited people know that scheme and they take advantage of those schemes and advantage of those funds whatever manner they want. You know,
Mm.
because the fund has been allocated for 1,000 startups, but only 10 to 20 startups have access to that just because of the that middle people and all those people out there. So only 10 to 20 people get the advantage of that fund. Right? And those 980 those who left, they are just thinking that government is not doing anything. So it is not like that. Government is doing so
The
many
lack
things.
of awareness is there. Lack of awareness is there.
You have to be the right person.
Correct.
That is the main thing.
So I think Mr. Pankaj, you need to do one more session on this to spread awareness about all the schemes and all the strategies for MSMEs plus as well as the for the startups.
Yeah, that is very much required.
Don't worry, we'll try to do it.
Definitely appreciate.
Thank you. In fact, thank you so much. We'll definitely do it.
Probably one more thing to add to Abhishek's point and maybe for our audiences as well on these schemes. There are 25 to 27 schemes which are central government driven schemes for MSMEs across India for the benefit that they want to give to MSMEs, fewer sector specific, industry specific, fewer general. And on top of it, there are state government schemes as well for each and every state for the benefit of the MSMEs in that state. So that's the kind of work which is being done by the government for MSMEs.
Exactly. And people are not aware of this, how to get benefited from this. And this is very sad part that there is lack of awareness about it. When government is playing their role and still people blame government that they are not doing anything for this. So coming to this, I would like to know is this true or is this any right thing that investors who are people whom approaching investors, they are seeking lower valuation from founders. What's your take, Mr. Abhishek, on this? As you currently
So
deal
you are
with,
asking that. Okay, you are asking that investors are seeking lower valuation.
yeah, so that they need to get the maximum this thing equity of out of that business owner. So, is this
Okay.
right
Okay,
or
got it. Got it. No, no, it's not like that, Alka. Like to be uh, at the fair side, I would say that I speak to a lot of investors, I speak to a lot of founders out there. What happens, you know, uh, what mistake majorly founders do basically, they do not know the right valuation of their startup, you know, and in return of the people. So this is basically a dilemma actually which has been created. And what happens, like India is a country where every day, I think more than 10 to 15,000 companies have been registered. Out of that, 10 to 20% are startups. So startup ecosystem is growing. But again, there is also a flaw of lack of knowledge, right? Founders don't know that what should be the right valuation. Founders don't really know that what are the grade or changes are there in their business model, how they can actually grow rapidly, right? How they can. So that is why whoever comes to us first, we do not take them to the investor directly. It's not like that somebody will sign up with us and will take to any investor. What we do a lot of exercises with them, and it takes them about 15 to 20 days time. So we work on their right tasks, we work on their different patterns, like if they are going to launch their products in different geographies. So these are the exercises we do so that they get a clear idea that what should be my right task and what I am bringing on the table when I'm going to meet any investor. Investors are the people, they are smart, because they are putting their money. So they, and no offense to anybody, so they do respect their money a lot, right? And that is what actually we are known for. We do not take any mandate as by the time it is not analyzed fully by us, right? Or by my team. So basically, we look forward to few factors, and we are known for deal scouting and deal thinking. So like whenever we go to any investor, we know that these are the USPs of the startup, and this is the right valuation. So even sometimes we fight also on the valuation with the investors. So these negotiations keep happening. But as a founder, one needs to really understand that what should be my right valuation. That is very important. Otherwise, you keep searching for an investor, and investor never takes interest, in the kind of if you are just giving a hypothetical figure in terms of valuation.
Very true. And what do you want to add on to this, Mr. Chawla?
Yeah, so I'd like to contextualize it, as Abhishek also did fairly well. You have to look at it from the perspective of the business, the problem that you solve, and the value that you add. There has there had been a lot of hype and bubble in the startup ecosystem pre-COVID, where everyone was running for valuation. COVID has sensitized everyone to understand that valuation is important, but more important than that is value that you add to the business, that you add to the economy. And the way you add value is, what problem do you solve? Is that problem a real problem which exists in the ecosystem, in the economy, and is your solution a real solution to that problem? If your solution is the real solution to the problem, and it is probably an innovative one, and on top of it, your business plan, your business dynamics or strategy, or your business model, maybe revenue model, your cost outlay, profitability, all sync in well with what you want to do to solve the problem, and all of that are realistic. This effectively means that the value you add in the economy is real. The value you add to the business in terms of profit is fairly real if you execute it well. If those two things are real, then you can command valuation. This is obviously rules laid down for various valuation methods. Then you can command the valuation, and if the valuation methods are applied very, very well, and your valuations are accurate, then I think negotiation would then be a matter of your play on the table. But because you would already have a right product, already have the right solution to the right problem and profitability in the business, then the it is a function of getting the higher value of for your buck always. Negotiations have never been easy for any startups in any investment round. Everyone would want to value less and gain more. That's how practically any negotiation works. Now the point is, what cards do you have as positive ones for your business will decide whether you would have an edge on the negotiation or you will not have an edge. Whether you would be paying more equity for same amount of money or lesser equity or lesser amount of money for the same amount of equity will depend on what cards you have as an edge. If you worked on your business strongly, fairly well.
Very rightly said by Mr. Chavla, because we have seen in the news that car makers have started making ventilators, and wine makers have jumped to make the hand sanitizer as the situation has changed. So of course there is change, there is requirement of this also. So I think I would like to ask one more thing, that while approaching investor, is the only money which is required by a startup is the deciding factor, that which investor I have to go? I have to approach blue chip investor, or I have to go angel investor or the VC group? So what is the deciding factor on this? How to approach which investor? Mr. Abhishek, I would like to know your thoughts on this.
Okay. While approaching, sorry, while approaching any investor, Alka, what we look at is basically like what is the interest of investor and what is his history. What are the startups he has invested? You know, so it plays a very important role as far as his knowledge of the industry, because somebody who's investing in health tech most probably will not be interested in food and beverages or something like brick and mortar and all those kind of stuff. So the history of the investor is also very important, right? And most lot of founders are searching for strategic investors these days. Strategic investor is somebody who not only comes with money but also comes with a lot of great ideas and advices and the roadmap of the startup itself. Why strategic investor is important? Because with the investment he comes with a great network as well. So you can already get a setup out there, which is actually helpful to launch your product or your extension and going to the different. That is the whole idea. I'm a founder and Pankaj the investor. So if I come to Pankaj will onboard with me, as a strategic investor. So automatically I will get access of Pankaj's network, right? And network is your network. Network is very important in in current scenario and for growth of a startup itself. That is the whole point. So when a strategic investor comes, the whole process of growth is automated, right? So money is important, right? Your ideas are important, but having a investor who has a good credit, who has that kind of history where he has helped certain investors, it is a kind of win-win situation for any firm.
And what's your take on this, Mr. Chavla?
Yeah, so I think Abhishek has fairly explained it well. So no substantial additions to that. Just a small piece to add, which is if the startup knows the journey very very well, then if at all they reach out to maybe a VC fund house and they need an angel investor as a real need, and the startup is fairly, as I said, aware of what value they're adding, then in most of the cases VCs themselves, either refer them to angels or look at at scaling that business to an extent that VCs could fund themselves. It's just an example. But yes, beyond that, I think Abhishek has fairly put in well and covers everything.
Great, good to know that. And I mean, one more thing, like you both are from the very different, with the same industry but at the different sides. So, what are the strategies which makes different? Like you are working with MSMEs and you are working with startups from the very scratch who are in the pre-seed stage. So, how are the strategies different to make them grow? So, starting with Mr. Chawla.
Okay, strategies differ when you start with a blank piece of paper, or you just are on the drawing board and you want to start from the scratch. Then your strategies would definitely be different than an organization who already has, as an example, maybe 100 crores of revenue, but they are stuck in that vicious cycle of not going beyond 200 crores, as an example, and they want to look at how could they potentially break that barrier. So those are two different ways of looking at businesses. One is absolutely novice. Second has got its own ways of working, inhibitions, structures, processes, and all of that. So I'll talk about MSMEs first, and then come to startups, which is subset of MSMEs. If you are a, let's say, medium-sized organization with 200 to 500 crores turnover, then and you want to grow from there towards an MNC, then your strategies would be what you have been doing till now. What are your core areas of business? What are your non-core areas of business? And how could you potentially capitalize on core areas? And how could you then look at making non-core areas the core areas of business, if at all possible, and build from there. For example, you have got a way of working on, let's say, 5 line business within an organization, but 4 are highly profitable, but 1 is not. For the one which is not, is there a recovery plan? Are you looking at analyzing, or have you ever looked at your business by the LOBs, by the lines of business, ever? Or you're okay with the overall performance of X percentage, whereas that X percentage would have been 40% better if you exclude a particular line of business which is not so profitable. And can you then devise strategies of how you scale 4 out of 5, and how you look at the fifth LOB differently? Is one of the ways of looking at it. Then you kind of do deep dive analysis of what is going wrong in that one line of business. Is it pricing a problem? Is costing a problem? Is marketing a problem? Is an overall sales funnel is a problem? Or the market is like that, so competition also is facing a similar problem. Do you want to expand into wider areas in terms of geography? Do you have you ever looked at your business with a different lens of being digital, or there are potential synergies where you could, if you're a manufacturing company, you should, or you could put and shift your manufacturing plant from place A to place B, which saves, let's say, 15-20% of your cost, and then adds on to your bottom line. So those are the kind of strategies you work on when you are working with an organization which is already in the market for some time, and now trying to break that ceiling of X turnover to really grow multiple times. Or you look at processes and streamline them to generate money out of the cost that they incur by reducing costs. So those things could help an organization which is probably small to medium organization. Coming to micro or a startup organization, since it's a drawing board, then you look at how market is doing. What is it that you are bringing in as value addition? What are your USPs? If there are none, then how could you put your product differently so that you have some USPs in place? If your USPs are there, then how is competition doing currently? Let us say basic operations of the business, or marketing of the business, or back-end funneling of ensuring the product is delivering right or not. You understand all that and devise a strategy from scratch, and then you learn from your maybe mistakes, failures, course correct, and then start to bring in revenues into, and then capitalize using that money either of your own or maybe through funding, maybe investors or bank and all of that, and that's how you generate money from money. That is where the strategy would be different. And for and data points say that 7 out of 10 startups generally do not continue beyond 3 years. So the reason for that is, if you are not planning for your business well and for long term, then you are bound to get into that trap of not being able to generate money through whatever revenue you have been able to generate so far. So then the strategies are different. Initially starting with survival and then growth and all of that.
Very true. Very true. So, would you like to add something into this, Mr. Abhishek?
No, I think Pankaj has fairly explained both the areas. So,
Great, good to know that. So, last question, what are the takeaways from this year or the last year as an ecosystem, or what advice you want to give to all the startups owner who are getting on their nerves due to non-availability of funds, or they are not able to reach the right investors? So, what is your advice?
okay. So I'll just say, Alka, like my advice would be to all the startup founders. What I have seen, a lot of founders are just doing startup for the sake of doing something, right? And there's a lot of motivational pages, and you will go to YouTube, you will get certain motivational videos and all, right? I would say that first one need to understand that isn't my cup of tea, because startup is not some everybody's cup of tea. To be very frank with you, not everybody understands those smaller details, like where why I need to follow my passion, why I need to do this, and why I need to do that, right? Second thing is, funding is becoming a kind of fashion these days. So if I'm having a startup, I have a right to raise funds, which is not like that, right? And a lot of the startup founders waste a lot of time in this exercise also. So though I'm in the funding industry, I help startup founders basically to raise funds, but I will suggest that understand that what is the right time when you should go for the funding, right? It's not like that you have just started and there is no revenue and there is no kind of growth plan or business plan you have, but you want to raise funds. Who's going to listen to you, right? That is the main question. And a lot of startup founders are just run behind investors just because it is becoming a passion. Fundraising is becoming a passion. It is very
Correct.
passion. They don't have any idea why they need funds, right? And I speak to a lot of founders, and my first question from them is why you need funds. And if they reply, in a manner where I get satisfied first, then I take them to the next level. Otherwise, they it is my personal experience, and I would say that 60 to 70% founders don't even know that why they don't need funds, right? Third thing is, very importantly, you have started your business, you have started your startup basically to make your career, not somebody else's career. You
Correct.
have to do the same thing for 2 years, as Pankaj rightly said that in India, because it is my basic point, when somebody says that the startup dies within 3 years, it is my point, and it is my passion to help those startups basically so back to my revenues, my operations, and then again 6 months I came to that, and then eventually after 1 year I raised a seed round for my startup. So I did, but the only thing is that and personally I know that how painful those 2 years were. Like when everything you have to do as a founder, and you are into marketing, you are into operations, you are handling a team, you are handling clients as well. So there were a lot of things were going on. So first thing which a founder needs to understand, do I really need funds or I can survive myself, right? Because giving equity to somebody, right? And one more thing, understanding the right ask is also very important. How much equity you are diluting, you know. So there are founders those who will come, those who will go to an investor, with an ask of say 2 million, but even if the investor is giving them 50 lakhs, they are fine because they just want to tell people that I have raised money,
Very true.
right?
Very true.
uh, in my view, if you are taking that much amount of time, that much amount in return of the same equity which you are diluting for 2 million, I don't think so you value your time, you value your startup, or you value your idea. It is just that you were fashionable and you were just in some, you were romanticizing with fundraising. You just put that money there and you can tell people that I have raised funds, right? You don't have a plan, you don't really plan. So this is my advice to the people, to the startup. Start your fundraising activity. Start involving basically as active investor and all. When you think that there is a requirement, that like now you actually need money to grow. That is how like.
What you want to add, Mr. Chawla, into this?
So, for all the entrepreneurs who are serious about their business, I think two, three points to really look at. One, there is absolutely no shame in not having an answer. The answer would come if you stick to your business, if you stick to solving for it and looking for it, answers will come. And there will be situations where you will not have answers. So if that is demoralizing you, then probably you need to look at your own self differently, because that's not how the industry works. So there will definitely be problems and challenges. If you are serious, then important is that you should stick to your dreams for your business. The storm is there; it will settle down sooner or later. You will solve probably problems for you, and your business will succeed. And the third thing is discipline is of high importance in any business. So stay disciplined, stay serious, and keep growing. Yes.
Good to know that. And thank you so much for both of you for such a good session and such an informative session. And as Mr. Chawla rightly said, that challenges are not the only one. Challenges bring the opportunities as well for startups, for entrepreneurs. As it is very difficult for health and economic condition, many successful innovative startups or business have emerged from the period of crisis only. For example, Dropbox, Uber, Airbnb, WhatsApp, Groupon, and so on. Even Alibaba Taobao was founded during the SARS outbreak in China in 2003. So, keeping all these things in mind, we would love to see many startups coming, as we have already witnessed 17 unicorns, and we are very sure that we will add on to this number by the end of this year. Thank you so much, Mr. Abhishek. Thank you so much, Mr. Chawla. And I would like to wrap up this session.
Thanks, welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alka. Thanks, Abhishek. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.